when people throw the right hand, you know, like you often see people like loop it a little bit too much, or come in with their punch not like so, shoulder behind, etc. Like the shoulder behind one's the big one for me. Like people always struggling to like do that, or rotate and screw in the shot with a simultaneous movement through the body, from the foot up, right, bringing through that shoulder, pulling back on the opposite shoulder, right, to get that reach and that extension. Obviously in Muay Thai we're far more square. And one of the ways that I was taught is to keep the right hand really pulled in tight, and then get the people to twist out and get that heel out, so that shoulder comes through and touches the chin to protect you, right? So that was the way I was educated. But was you ever?
Yeah, so we have the luxury of being so much more side on, so that it almost forces the hand into that similar position. Just if you're in that side on place, like my palm's almost on my cheek already, so that simulates that same thing. So the thing that a lot of people make the same mistake is because they tend to lead with their hand. I think a lot of people will kind of reach first. They haven't quite got the rotation from the lower. They're not quite pulled through on the shoulder, so they're throwing their shot and it scoops or it rolls. Just because they kind of aren't getting the idea of being as side on as they can. And even if you haven't thrown the jab, that left shoulder still has to create that pull to allow the shot to travel in that straight line. But we do have that luxury of being in the side on place with the boxing. So the more side on you are, you should theoretically be here and here, around there with the palm facing in, because then it's getting that same idea as where you were saying. Sweet.
No, I think it's interesting to discuss all the little like the bits that
like those margins that are different.
Yeah, because we're normally we're just talking about the final product, not how we get to the final product, which is a problem. You know what I mean? Like even like with the jab, like no one really discusses about pulling back the shoulders.
Yeah, like the symmetry of movement between the push and pull.
Yeah, exactly. Like we work on both sides, right? Where you're pulling back, but as long as you're keeping that high protection, because obviously whenever you're throwing a punch, you're vulnerable. So leaving your shoulders down, never good. Leaving your chin up,
no good either way.
Hands up, chin down.
And if you're not getting the rotation in a shot, there's no protection at the end point either.
No, that's it.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, do they? Like most people think that they've landed a punch, that's safe, but you're still open to the counter hook. Now you're not. Normally might be vulnerable here, but at least there's only mid game.
Yeah, you're most vulnerable at the point of contact. If someone's countered your movement, that's when you're most.
Because then that miss has happened, and then the opening comes.
Yeah, like when people throw the hook right.
And then it's just like, okay, I'll wait for you to come just an inch, bang.
Yeah.
But
which leads on to like when people throw a hook, right?
Yeah, which is, well, I guess the big mistake most people make, it's just the arm, isn't it? Most people try and really swing their arm into the shot. It shortens the punch. They've got no lift from the hip, and they've got nowhere to snap and generate the power from. And most people end up thinking that the hook's got to land like there, all close and just smothered. So even if what's the 1-2 hook's the most common combo? 1-2 hook. You'll see that in like fitness classes. You'll see that in like real fights. You'll see it in reality because it works. It's real. But most people can't reach that hook because they're shortening the shot. They're turning the arm in so early, as opposed to committing to the right hand to give the hips leverage to then out rotate into the hook. Because then the distance is like I'm use 2 pads, but it's the same.
I find people tend to pull back their shots.
So it's like the bicep pulls it in. Same on the uppercut. I think that's a lack of retraction in the shot often, because with the uppercut, if you don't retract much, that's the end destination. Whereas if you retract fully, it's more forward. And similar on a hook, if you don't pull the right shoulder back, you kind of end up with that snappy circle. Whereas if the right shoulder pulls, this right leg anchors. And then that kind of has like the stopping point on the hip. So the arm can only ever really travel just through the chin, as opposed to like.
Yeah, because I tend to like, as that heel comes out, that elbow comes up. So it becomes more about the body's behind the punch, as opposed to just trying to utilize the arm for the hook. You're actually using the leverage and the weight of the body.
And there's all like, there's tactical purposes for things like that on the advanced scale, isn't there? Like to slap a hook for creating an opening and pulling the guard and stuff. But if you want to land a punch,
Yeah, I think it's right time and right place for everything.
Yeah, but that's like, okay, I'm a high level fighter who wants to pull someone's guard and then throw a jab or throw the right hand off it.
Yeah, but, it's like tapping up. When you tap up, get the guard here so you can
create the liver shot.
The body.
But that's not a punch, and the shot, it's all going to come from the body, and that's also going to mean that you're safe from the right hand if you land that, because if you wanted to slip from there, you can rotate in. Slip in, slide in, as I say. Right, yeah. Or similarly, you can land that and you can block the right that's coming to the top in a similar fashion. Yeah. You can block the shot, or you can slip in from there because you're in an anchored, balanced state.
Yeah.
As opposed to that kind of like.
And you're trying to set up that shot as well. Yeah. That's what I mean. If you're throwing a hook, you're looking for that position there so you can deliver that body shot.
Which is only possible if you throw it right.
Yeah, and generally tends to be longer as well, which goes back to the length of the hook and the uppercut. I try and tell people when they're throwing straights and hooks and uppercuts that there's not much deviation. I still have to hit that same point. Yeah, because a head's a head, and it's not. I'm going to come like this because it's like, hang on, 1, 2. Oh wait, you want to throw hooks? Yeah, exactly. Let me just come in and make that punch. Yeah, exactly. That's the I think that's the thing I see on when people hit the bag. That's like one of the biggest mistakes most people make when they hit a bag is they'll think that you've got like your 1, 2 comes out here, your hooks, your 3s and 4s are like coming out here and here, and then your 5s and 6s are like coming here. Yeah. But like, how's a static bag gonna allow that? Yeah. So like, you see the hooks landing around the side and the back of the bag, rather than like you just said, like 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s, 5s and 6s, all being within like head size, head distanced. Roughly the same.
Yeah.
With a slight adjustment of the feet.
Yeah, like obviously there's like maximum potential per punch. Yeah. Straight punches are best at long range. Uppercuts are going to be the best choice shorter range. Yeah. But they should still work out of that. Like you could go cross hook, you could go cross uppercut, you could go anything. It should all sort of flow off each other. Yeah, because the movement's the same and the distance, length of your arm is the same. Get it right out here and then throwing them in there should be comfortable, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just
you're going to be inside close.
Yeah, and then you're going to be like, right, my shot selection might change. I might have to edit things a little. Yeah. But scenarios dictate that. If it's for fitness on a bag, like a big heavy bag that ain't moving nowhere, you want to be out on that long range for everything, don't you? Because for a workout, the further away, the more the body does. You've got a bigger room to generate the rotation through the hip, the back, the core. Like purely for that alone.
Yeah, working the fundamentals, right? Which is one of the fundamentals which I find is lost so much is range.
Yeah.
People don't, like, especially when you're holding pads, isn't it? Like someone's throwing short shots, it's almost like you can't help yourself but overcompensate for the mistakes.
Yeah.
They throw
so it's
1,
like
2.
And you come in a little
bit. That 1, 2, and you know that hook's coming really like over here, and you compensate for the errors, which you can't do on the bag. But I mean, when I started, it was on the bag, and you know, and they said it's range, learn your range, then you can go on the next.
Yeah, or like. I guess in the environments that we learn, you'd only have 1 or 2 coaches for a big group of people.
Yeah.
So they might go around with a mix here and there. The majority of the time, it's like you're on the bag, you're shadow boxing, you're doing drills, you're skipping, and you're doing some like random, probably not the best exercises for what you're doing, but they'll do. So it would be like everything you did was kind of mastering this leverage and distance. And the pads might come along and it would be some old boy on the pads, do this, and then smack you around the head a couple of times. Yeah. Be like, oh, okay, well, I think I prefer the bag or sparring.